You did what? I heard my own voice crack through the phone, sharp and brittle, as panic tightened around my chest like a vice. I could barely breathe. On the other end of the line, my mother laughed. Not amused, dismissive. The same laugh she always used when she thought I was being dramatic. Relax, Sarah, she said lightly. We gave your spare key to Olivia. She needed a reliable car, and yours was just sitting there in the parking lot. My mind went blank. I was standing in the empty parking spot where my brand new Honda Accord had been parked just 12 hours earlier. The concrete was still damp with morning dew, and faint tire marks curved away from the space, careless and rushed. My heart slammed against my ribs so hard I thought I might throw up. Mom, I said slowly, gripping my phone so tightly my fingers hurt, that car is in my name. I've been making payments on it for 3 months. You cannot give someone my keys without asking me. She's your sister, my mother replied, as if that explained everything. Family helps family. You know Olivia has been having a hard time since her divorce. She needed transportation for her new job. And you have that nice new car just sitting there. I closed my eyes and forced myself to breathe. Of course it was Olivia. My older sister. The one who had crashed 4 cars in 5 years. The sister who totaled our father's truck by running a red light, because she was changing the radio. The sister who wrapped her ex-husband's sedan around a telephone pole, after drinking at a party, and insisting she was fine to drive. The sister who drove her leased vehicle into a ditch, because she was texting and forgot the road curved. The sister who rear-ended a school bus, thankfully empty, because she was applying mascara at a stoplight. Mom, I said, my voice shaking now, Olivia has destroyed every car she's ever touched. She has the worst driving record of anyone I know. That's not fair, Sarah, my mother snapped. Those were accidents. Anyone can have an accident. 4 accidents in 5 years isn't bad luck, I said quietly. It's a pattern. There was a pause. Then my mother's voice hardened, sharpening into that familiar edge. You've always been jealous of your sister. Ever since you were little, you couldn't stand seeing her have anything nice. I almost laughed at the absurdity. Me? Jealous? I had worked 2 jobs through college while Olivia dropped out after 1 semester to chase a modeling career that never went anywhere. I had saved for years to afford the down payment on that car, while she burned through 3 marriages and twice as many credit cards. I built my life carefully, brick by brick. She destroyed everything and expected someone else to clean up the mess. Mom, I said firmly, where did Olivia take my car? I don't know exactly. Probably to work. She mentioned a salon job in Worthington. When did she take it? Last night, around 11. Your father met her at your apartment complex and gave her the spare key. We thought you'd be asleep and didn't want to wake you. I felt something cold settle deep in my bones. They had come to my home in the middle of the night and given away my property without even knocking on my door. I thought my car had been stolen, I said. Because it was. It wasn't stolen, my mother scoffed. It's with family. It was taken without my consent, I replied. That's the definition of stolen. You're being ridiculous, she said. She'll bring it back. A week, maybe 2. It's not a library book, I said. It's a $28,000 vehicle I'm still paying for. Money, 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 she snapped. Family comes before everything. Something cracked inside me. A wall I had spent 29 years building to protect myself from the truth about my family. All right, I said quietly. Just give me a minute. I hung up. My name is Sarah. I am 29 years old. And for the first time in my life, I realized my family would never respect me unless I forced them to. I opened my contacts. Scrolled past my mother. Past my father. Past Olivia. And I called the police. The officer arrived within 20 minutes. She was about my age, maybe early 30s, with calm eyes and a posture that radiated authority without intimidation. She introduced herself as Officer Monroe, and something about her steady voice immediately grounded me. "All right," she said, pulling out a notepad. "Let's start from the beginning." I told her everything. The empty parking space. The phone call with my mother. The casual way my parents had handed over my spare key like it meant nothing. Like I meant nothing. "So just to confirm," Officer Monroe said carefully, "your parents gave your spare key to your sister, and she took your vehicle without your knowledge or consent?" "Yes," I said. "I didn't even know it was gone until this morning." "And the car is registered solely in your name?" "Yes. I bought it 3 months ago. The title, registration, everything is in my apartment." She nodded and wrote something down. "Did you give anyone permission to take the vehicle?" "No. Not my parents. Not my sister. No one." Officer Monroe paused, then looked directly at me. "I need to ask you something, and I need you to think carefully before you answer." My stomach tightened. "Once I file this report, it becomes official. Your sister's name will be flagged for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. That's not something we can quietly undo later. Are you sure you want to proceed?" I thought about my mother's dismissive laugh. I thought about all the times I had cleaned up Olivia's messes. I thought about the monthly car payments I'd still owe if she wrapped my Honda around a tree like she had every other vehicle she touched. "I'm sure," I said. Officer Monroe nodded. "All right. I am filing the report." As she worked, my phone started buzzing. First my father. I let it go to voicemail. Then my mother. Voicemail again. Then a text from Olivia, the first message I'd received from her in months. "Heard you're freaking out about the car. Chill. I'm just borrowing it for the week. I'll bring it back Sunday. Stop being so dramatic." I showed the screen to Officer Monroe. She raised an eyebrow. "She's admitting she has the car," she said. "That actually helps." She took a photo of my phone for evidence. "I'm entering this into the system now. The vehicle will be flagged as stolen. Any officer who runs the plates will be alerted." I expected guilt to hit me. The familiar anxiety. The sick feeling that always came when I upset my family. Instead, I felt lighter. Like I'd finally set down something heavy I'd been carrying for years. My phone rang again. This time, it was Olivia calling. I hesitated, then answered. "Sarah, what the hell is wrong with you?" she snapped. "Mom says you're acting crazy." "You took my car without asking," I said evenly. "I asked Mom and Dad. They said it was fine." "They don't own my car," I replied. "They don't get to give permission." "God, you're so uptight," Olivia sneered. "This is why nobody likes you. I'm trying to get my life together, and you can't even let me borrow a stupid car for 1 week." Officer Monroe watched me carefully, her expression neutral. "Olivia," I said, "where are you right now?" "That's none of your business. That car is registered as stolen with the Columbus Police Department," I said. "If you get pulled over, you'll be arrested." She laughed. The same laugh my mother used. "You're bluffing," she said. You don't have the guts. I already filed the report, I replied. The officer is standing right next to me. Silence. Then her voice hardened. You've always been jealous of me. You're trying to ruin my life, because I finally have something good going. I just want my car back. No, she snapped. I need it. You'll figure something else out. All right, I said quietly. Then I'll see you when the police find you. I hung up. She's not bringing it back voluntarily, Officer Monroe said. No, I replied. She thinks I'll back down. We'll issue a bulletin, she said. Make, model, plates. It shouldn't take long. 4 hours later, my phone rang while I was sitting at my desk at Crestwell Electric, staring blankly at inventory reports. My co-worker Emma had brought me coffee that morning without asking. You look awful, she'd said gently. Family stuff? Yeah, I'd replied. I don't want to talk about it yet. When I saw Officer Monroe's number, I stood up so fast I knocked over the coffee cup. We found your vehicle, she said. My heart dropped. Where is it? Is Olivia with it? There was a pause. The car was abandoned in a no-parking zone on the west side of the city, she said. Looks like she ditched it when she realized we were looking for it. What condition is it in? Another pause. Longer this time. You should come see it yourself. I took the rest of the day off work. Emma didn't ask questions. She just nodded, squeezed my arm, and told me to drive safe. I almost laughed at that, drive safe, when my own car had been turned into evidence. At the impound lot, the smell of oil and rust hit me first. Rows of vehicles sat behind a chain-link fence, all of them looking like they had stories they didn't want to tell. Officer Monroe met me at the gate. I should warn you, she said gently. The car isn't totaled. But it's not untouched either. My stomach twisted as she led me down the gravel path. Then I saw it. My Honda Accord. The front bumper was scraped badly, paint torn down to bare metal. The passenger side mirror hung by a wire, cracked and useless. Deep scratches ran along the side doors, long, angry lines that looked deliberate. I covered my mouth with my hand. Oh my God, Officer Monroe crouched to inspect the damage. The bumper damage suggests she hit something solid. A pole, maybe. The side scratches, she straightened. Those don't look accidental. What do you mean? They look keyed, she said plainly. Someone dragged something sharp along the paint. My chest tightened. Why would someone do that? Officer Monroe didn't answer. She didn't have to. I knew exactly why. Olivia had done this before. Every time she got angry, she destroyed something. Doors, phones, relationships, cars weren't off limits. She probably panicked, Officer Monroe continued. Realized the vehicle was flagged. Parked it illegally and walked away. Is she being arrested? I asked. We are still looking for her, she said. But with this damage and the report, she's facing an authorized use of a motor vehicle and property damage. I nodded slowly, numb. The tow yard clerk handed me a clipboard. You'll need to sign here. Insurance company will want photos. Insurance. Right. I called my provider on the way home. The adjuster assigned to my case was named Victor. His voice was smooth and professional, the kind of calm that comes from dealing with disasters every day. Ms. Patel, he said, I'm looking at the photos now. Silence stretched on the line. This isn't minor damage, he finally said. The bumper, mirror, and paint alone are several $1,000s. And the scratches? I asked. Keying is considered vandalism, he said. That's a separate claim. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Can you tell who did it? I asked. He sighed. Unless someone confesses, or there's video evidence, no. But the pattern is intense. I almost told him the truth. Almost said my sister did this because she didn't get her way. Instead, I thanked him and hung up. That night, my phone exploded. Missed calls from my parents. Texts from my mother. Voicemails from my father. I listened to the first one. "Sarah," my mother snapped, "what have you done?" Olivia's boss called her today asking why the police showed up at her job. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that is? I deleted it. The next voicemail was from my father. You've crossed a line, he said coldly. Family matters should stay inside the family. Calling the police was extreme. I stared at the wall, my hands shaking. They weren't angry about the stolen car. They weren't upset about the damage. They were furious that I had finally refused to be their doormat. My phone buzzed again. A text from Olivia. You ruined everything. I needed that job. I hope you're happy. I didn't reply. The next morning, Officer Monroe called again. We've escalated your case, she said. A detective will be taking over due to the vandalism. Her name was Detective Alvarez. At the station, Detective Alvarez studied the photos carefully. These scratches, she said, tapping the image, they are uneven. Emotional damage tends to look like this. You think she did it, I said quietly. I think someone angry did, she replied. And based on her history, your sister fits the profile. My stomach sank. What happens now? I asked. We bring her in for questioning, Detective Alvarez said. And we see how much she's willing to admit. As if summoned by the universe, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Sarah, Olivia's voice trembled with rage, you think you won. I just want my car fixed, I said. You've always hated me, she screamed. Mom and Dad always loved you more. You just couldn't stand that I needed help. I almost laughed at the lie. You're delusional, she continued. And when this is over, I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are. The line went dead. Detective Alvarez looked at me calmly. Don't worry, she said. People like her always make mistakes. And for the first time since this started, I believed her point. 2 days passed without a word from Olivia. The silence felt unnatural, like the pause before a storm. My parents stopped calling too, which somehow made everything worse. I had grown used to their constant pressure, their endless guilt-tripping. Without it, my thoughts filled the space, looping over every memory where I had swallowed my anger to keep the peace. I was at home when Detective Alvarez called. We spoke to your sister this morning, she said. My heart jumped. Did she come involuntarily? No, the detective replied evenly. She was brought in after failing to appear for questioning. I sat down hard on the couch. What did she say? She denied everything at first, Detective Alvarez continued. Said your parents gave her permission, said she intended to return the car, said the damage must have happened while it was parked. And you believed her? There was a pause, then a quiet chuckle. No, Detective Alvarez said. Because she forgot something important. I held my breath. Your vehicle was keyed while it was still moving between locations. We pulled traffic footage from 2 parking garages. One shows your sister exiting the vehicle alone. The scratches weren't there when she parked. Another camera shows the damage already present less than 30 minutes later. So the vandalism occurred in between, she said. And during that window, the only person with the car was your sister. My chest felt tight. Did she admit it? Not yet, the detective replied. But the evidence is strong. That evening, my mother showed up at my apartment. Unannounced. I opened the door to find her standing there with crossed arms and tight lips. You humiliated us, she said before I could speak. Hello to you too, I replied. She pushed past me into the living room, scanning it like she expected to find evidence of betrayal hidden in the couch cushions. Do you have any idea what people are saying? She demanded. Your sister's friends, our relatives, everyone knows the police were involved. Good, I said. Maybe they'll stop pretending this is normal. Her eyes flashed. You've always been cold. Always selfish. I laughed softly, unable to stop myself. Selfish? I said. I paid for that car. I insured it. I worked overtime to afford it. And you gave it away in the middle of the night. You don't need it like Olivia does, she snapped. She's struggling. She's reckless, I corrected. And you enable her. That word hit her like a slap. Enable, she repeated. How dare you talk to me like that? How dare you, I shot back, treat me like I don't matter. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Years of resentment crackled in the air between us. She's your sister, my mother said finally, her voice dropping. Blood is blood. Blood doesn't give someone the right to steal from me, I replied. She shook her head slowly, like she was mourning a loss. You've changed, she said. No, I answered. I've stopped pretending. She left without another word. The next day, I got a call from Victor, the insurance adjuster. We are approving the full repair, he said. Including repainting both doors. Relief washed through me. There's something else, he added. Given the circumstances, we'll be pursuing reimbursement from the responsible party. My stomach dropped. Olivia? Yes, he said. Your sister will be liable for the deductible and damages not covered under your policy. I thanked him and hung up. That night, my father finally called. You've made your point, he said. Can we end this now? What does end this mean? I asked. Drop the charges, he said. Let Olivia move on. I closed my eyes. What about the damage? I asked. What about the risk she put me in? What about my trust? He sighed heavily. You're tearing this family apart. I felt something solidify inside me. No, I said. I'm just refusing to hold it together by myself. He hung up. The following morning, Detective Alvarez called again. Your sister wants to talk, she said. She's changed her story. I swallowed. What is she saying now? She says your parents told her you'd agreed, the detective replied. She's trying to shift responsibility. I laughed bitterly. Of course she is. Don't worry, Detective Alvarez said. We have text records, timestamps, and video. Lies don't age well. When I ended the call, I realized something surprising. I wasn't scared anymore. I wasn't guilty. I wasn't even angry. I was done. Olivia didn't apologize. Not to me. Not to the police. Not even to our parents. Instead, she cried. Detective Alvarez warned me ahead of time. She's emotional. Says she wants to explain herself. You're not required to speak to her, but she asked. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We sat across from each other in a small interview room at the station. A metal table between us. 2 plastic chairs bolted to the floor. Olivia looked different. Her hair was unwashed, pulled into a messy bun. Dark circles framed her eyes. She looked smaller somehow, like the confidence she'd always worn like armor had cracked. But the moment she opened her mouth, I knew nothing had changed. You really went through with it, she said, shaking her head. I didn't think you were that heartless. I blinked. Hello to you too. She laughed weakly. You've always been dramatic, Sarah. You could have just talked to me. I tried, I said. You laughed. She rolled her eyes. Because you overreact about everything. Detective Alvarez sat silently in the corner, observing. I lost my job, Olivia continued. Do you know what that feels like? For once, I was trying to do something right. You lost your job because you stole my car and damaged it, I said calmly. Her face twisted. I didn't steal it. Mom said it was okay. Mom doesn't own my car. She might as well, Olivia snapped. Everything in this family is shared, except when it comes to you. I stared at her. You really believe that, don't you? I asked. That anything I earn automatically belongs to you. Her silence was answer enough. And the scratches? I asked. Did someone else magically key my car while you were driving it? Her jaw tightened. I was upset, she muttered. I didn't think anyone would notice. Detective Alvarez leaned forward. So you're admitting you caused the damage? Olivia's eyes widened. I didn't say that. But it was too late. The detective scribbled something down. After the interview, Detective Alvarez walked me out. She just handed us our case, she said. Vandalism, unauthorized use, and false statements. My knees felt weak. Will she be arrested? I asked. She may be offered a plea, the detective said. But charges are moving forward. That night, my mother called again. This time, her voice was soft. Sarah, she said, your sister is falling apart. She's never been good at handling consequences. I swallowed hard. I know, I said. That's why this had to happen. She's talking about leaving town, my mother added. Starting over. I almost laughed. Running away doesn't fix anything, I said. My mother sighed. You sound so cold. No, I replied. I sound tired. The repairs on my car began the next week. Victor called with updates, walking me through every step. New bumper. New mirror. Full repaint on both doors. Once it's done, he said, it'll look brand new. Good, I said. Because I worked hard for it. The deductible notice arrived 2 days later. Olivia's name was listed as the responsible party. I knew when she saw it, all hell would break loose. And I was right. She showed up at my apartment again, this time screaming. You expect me to pay this, she shouted through the door. I didn't open it. You ruined my life, she yelled. You always wanted this. I leaned against the door, heart pounding, but I didn't move. Pay what you owe, I said through the wood. Or deal with the consequences. Her sobs turned to rage, then finally to silence. A week later, Detective Alvarez called. Your sister has accepted a plea deal, she said. Probation, restitution, and mandatory counseling. I let out a long breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. Thank you, I said. For what? The detective asked. For taking this seriously. She paused. For what it's worth, you did the right thing. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the empty space where guilt used to live. For the first time in my life, I felt something new. Peace. The day I picked up my car, it felt unreal. The Honda sat under the bright shop lights, gleaming like it had just rolled off the lot. The scratches were gone. The dents erased. Even the smell inside was different, clean, new, untouched. Victor was right. It looked brand new. I ran my hand along the door, letting the cool paint ground me. This car wasn't just transportation. It was proof of every late night, every sacrifice, every time I chose responsibility over chaos. You'll want to sign here, the repair manager said, sliding paperwork across the counter. As I signed, my phone buzzed. A text from my father. Your sister is leaving town. She says she can't stay here after everything. I stared at the message. 4 years, I would have panicked. Would have rushed to fix it. Would have begged her to stay so my parents wouldn't be upset. Instead, I felt nothing. I typed back. I hope she gets the help she needs. And that was the truth. At work, Emma noticed immediately. Your car looks amazing, she said, peering out the window. New one. Same car, I replied. New boundaries. She smiled like she understood exactly what I meant. The weeks that followed were quiet. No late-night calls. No surprise visits. No emotional ambushes. My mother stopped texting entirely. My father sent the occasional neutral update, nothing more. For the first time, I wasn't being pulled into the center of their chaos. One afternoon, Detective Alvarez called one last time. Just closing the loop, she said. Restitution payments have started. Your deductible will be reimbursed in full within 30 days. Thank you, I said. She hesitated. You know, most people back down in situations like this. I almost did, I admitted. But you didn't, she said. That matters. That night, I dreamed about my childhood. About being told to be the mature one. About giving up things so Olivia wouldn't feel bad. About swallowing anger because family is everything. I woke up with a tight chest, but also clarity. Family shouldn't require self-erasure. A month later, my mother called. I almost didn't answer. But I did. You look well, she said, when the video connected. So do you, I replied carefully. There was an awkward pause. I've been thinking, she said finally. Maybe we did ask too much of you. It wasn't an apology. But it was closer than I'd ever gotten. I love you, she added quickly. I just worry about your sister. I know, I said. But worrying doesn't mean excusing. She nodded slowly. I'm trying to understand that, she said. After we hung up, I sat in silence, letting the weight of that moment settle. It wasn't forgiveness. It was progress. Later that week, a letter arrived. From Olivia. I stared at the envelope for a long time before opening it. Inside, her handwriting was messy, rushed. I don't know how to say this without sounding angry. I still think you went too far. But I can't deny that I messed up. I'm in counseling now. They say I avoid responsibility when I feel cornered. Maybe that's true. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just needed you to know I'm trying. I folded the letter and set it down. For the first time, Olivia wasn't demanding anything from me. That felt new. I didn't respond. Not because I was angry, but because I finally understood something important. Closure doesn't always require conversation. Sometimes, it just requires distance. That evening, I took my car out for a long drive. No destination. No urgency. Just me, the road, and the quiet hum of an engine that belonged entirely to me. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. I didn't hear from Olivia again for 3 months. No calls. No texts. No sudden appearances demanding forgiveness or favors. In the past, that kind of silence would have scared me. I would have assumed something was wrong, that it was my responsibility to check in, to fix whatever crisis was brewing. But this time, the quiet felt earned. Life slowly settled into a rhythm that belonged to me. I started saying no without rehearsing excuses. I stopped over-explaining my choices. I let unanswered messages stay unanswered. And nothing bad happened. One afternoon, my father invited me to lunch. Just me. No ambush. No guilt-laced agenda. We sat across from each other in a small diner we used to go to when I was a kid. I should have protected you, he said suddenly, staring at his coffee. I froze. He had never said anything like that before. You were always the strong one, he continued. So we leaned on you. Too much. I swallowed hard. Strength isn't an invitation to be used, I said quietly. He nodded. I know that now. It wasn't a grand apology. But it was real. A week later, my mother sent me a message, not about Olivia, not about family drama. Just a photo of her garden with a simple caption, "Thinking of you." I smiled. Time passed. 6 months after everything happened, I received one final call from Detective Alvarez. Just a courtesy update, she said. Your sister completed her restitution payments early. That's good, I replied, surprised to mean it. She's also stayed in counseling, the detective added. That doesn't happen often. When I hung up, I sat quietly for a long time. Not because I felt vindicated, but because I felt complete. A year later, I traded in the Honda. Not because it reminded me of what happened, but because I was ready for something new. As I signed the paperwork at the dealership, the salesman smiled. First big purchase on your own. I smiled back. Not the first. Just the most meaningful. That night, I drove home in my new car, windows down, music low. I thought about how close I'd come to backing down. How easily I could have let guilt win. How many times I'd been taught that love meant sacrifice, no matter the cost. But I'd learned the truth the hard way. Love without respect is just control. Family without accountability is just chaos. And boundaries aren't walls. They are doors. You choose who gets to walk through them. I parked in my driveway and turned off the engine, sitting in the quiet for a moment longer. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't waiting for anyone to change. I had changed. And that was enough. The end.